So these are the guided practice problems, and I thought maybe I would just try some more problems with you in case you had some more questions. Um, Problem number one, you want to add or subtract and write your answers in scientific notation. I see that if I'm adding or subtracting, I want to take a look at those exponents, and I want them all to be the same. So 6, 5, and 6. Let's make this one a 6. That way they're all the same. So I have to move my decimal point one more space, so that can be a 6 power. And when I move it one more space, it'll be 225 thousandths. So I'm going to add up my 225 thousandths plus 2 and 8 tenths. And using my handy dandy calculator, that's going to be 7 and 225 thousandths. And keep in mind that you had a 6 as your exponent, so the answer is 6. Okay, I'm going to try to move this one over a little bit. Maybe make it a little bit larger, because that was just too small for me to write in. Okay, problem number 2. This one is subtraction. So I have a 3, and a 2. I want to make this into a 3. So I want that to be a 3. So I want this to be a 3. So then it matches everything. Move one space over with your decimal point, and that'll make it 1/10. Okay, so take 8 and 5 tenths, subtract off 5 and 3 tenths, and then subtract off 1/10. And you can use your handy dandy calculator if you want. That would be 3 and 1/10, and the power is 3. Remember, we changed that to a power of 3. Okay, so these ones do not give me all the little steps, so I have to know how to do the steps. So I'm going to be adding these together. I see I'm adding a power of 2, a power of 2, and a power of 2. So my powers are fine. So my powers are all the same. So I'm going to take 1 and 25 hundredths, add 50 hundredths to it, and then add 3 and 25 hundredths to that. And that'll give me 5. So it's going to be 5 times 10 to the second power. Okay. Over, give myself some space. So here I have 5, a 4, and a 2. So this one isn't very nice to us. I'm going to make all of these into a 5. I always try to use the larger one. So make them all into a 5. So on the second one, I have to move over one space, and that'll be a 5. This next one, I have to move over 1, 2, 3 spaces, and that'll be a 5. So what I'm going to do here is just take 6 and 2 tenths, subtract off that 26 hundredths, and subtract off 19 10,000ths. So when I do all that subtraction, I have 5 and 9,381 10,000ths times 10 to the 5th power. Remember, we made all those to the 5th power. Okay. All right, so multiply or divide. I see that I'm multiplying here. So what I'm going to do is take 1 and 8 tenths and multiply it by 6 and 7 tenths. And then 10 to the 9th times 10 to the 12th. Remember, all you do here is add your exponents. So let me get my handy dandy calculator. And I'm going to take 1 and 8 tenths times 6 and 7 tenths. And that gives me 12 and 6 hundredths times 10 to the 21st. But there's a problem right here. I have two numbers to the left of that decimal point. So I have to move that over one space. So when I move it over one space, I have to add 1 to the exponent. So my final answer will be 1 206 thousandths times 10 to the 22nd power. Okay. Let's move these over. This one is division. So I'm going to take 3 4600ths and divide it by 2. And then 10 to the 17th minus 9, because I subtract my exponents. So 3 4600ths divided by 2 gives me 1 7300ths. And that'll be times 10 to the 8th power. And this will be your answer. One piece at a time. All right, another multiplication problem. So I'm going to multiply 3 3800ths times 5. And using my handy dandy calculator, I get 16 9/10. And remember, when you multiply powers of 10, you add the exponents. So that'll be times 10 to the 18th power. But again, we've got a problem here. That decimal point's in the wrong spot. So move it over to the left once. Add 1 space to your exponent because you moved the power. You move the decimal. You have 1 6900ths times 10 to the 19th power. Okay, let's scooch over here for our division problem. Okay, so I'm going to take these two and divide them. So 8 4/10 divided by 4 2/10, and that equals 2. When you divide with these same bases, you subtract the exponents. So it's going to give you 2 times 10 to the power of 7. And that'll be your answer. Okay, 9, 10, 11. Write each number using calculator notation. So these ought to be fairly quickly. So this is going to be 3 6/10 E 11. Remember, you take out the times and the 10 and just put the E in. This would be 7 2500ths E to the negative 5. Number 11, this will be 8 E, whoops, bad E, negative 1. Okay, so next set, write each number using scientific notation. So this time you remove the E, replace it with times 10, and then use the last number as the exponent. So we'll have 7 6/10 times 10 to the negative 4th, 1 2/10 times 10 to the 6th. Whoops, I can move this but not the problems. Let me try to move those separate. There we go. And on the last one I have 9 times 10 to the 1st power. It's that easy.